Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and something I haven't done for I think well over a year is go over absolutely everything I am currently using and kind of, for the record, what is it that I've got and using right now. So for those of you interested, we'll cover everything, and starting with probably quite a surprise, and that's that I have sold all of my amplifiers. So the DSL40 went a while ago, but the Jubilee and the Tone Master Super Reverb have gone. And in its place, wrong way, I'm back to a Katana, which is crazy because I feel now I have to justify why. But I'm back to a Katana, and that's it. And Katana Artist Head Mark II. I wanted to get, I just wanted to get the latest one, and I wanted to carry on using my cab as well. By the way, speakers in here, one's a vintage 30 and one's the original G12, 75, whatever you call it. But yeah, so being back to a Katana then, so like what I kind of realised, an expensive lesson as well, because it's probably over a year, I think it's well over a year since I upgraded from the Katana in the first place. But what I want from an amp, weirdly, is the complete opposite of what I want from a guitar. So with a guitar, I only want it to do one thing or a small number of things, and I want it to do it really, really well, and then get a different guitar for a different thing, and so on. But with an amp, I've realised that I don't want that. I want an amp that is pretty good across the board. And the Katana, when you think of the value, when you think of everything that it can do, is just that amplifier. And when it comes to making videos as well, the line out is really good, but I don't have any of the issues of balancing it like I did with the Tone Master when I want to hear the amp at the same time, sort of thing. And it just, the bottom line is, it's just for me and where I'm at right now, how I use an amplifier predominantly for recording, and making videos and stuff. It's just the best amplifier I can get at the moment. And today we're not using the line out. I have mic'd it up with an SM57. Now, I don't really like to do that much because I find that an SM57 on its own for like videos is quite bitey and quite harsh, and it's not really how the amp sounds in the room. But then again, nor's using the line out because you can then play with it to the nth degree, with IRs and stuff like that. So using the 57 today, I am going to try and pair this with a nice ribbon mic. So that's the downside to the Katana, is it's led me back down the microphone rabbit hole, which I was avoiding by buying the Tone Master, because obviously mics, when you start messing around with that, they can get pretty expensive pretty quickly, especially when you think the YouTube standard, if you like, is a 57 and a Roya 121, which you're up to sort of 1,500 quid's worth of microphones just there to mic a 400 quid amp. Seems a bit crazy, right? But you're hearing the 57 today, and just bear in mind that if it's a bit bitey, that's not really kind of how I'm hearing it in here. So I reckon I'll quickly show you what pedals I'm using, and I'll show you the signal chain and stuff like that, and then I'll plug a guitar in, not to do demos, but just to show you kind of how I'm using them, what purpose I'm using them for, and then we'll finish off with looking at the guitars and the kind of software side of things as well. So let's check out the board. So quick overview of the current board then. This is how it is, and I don't tend to film pedal videos on this channel. I don't know why, it's just not something I kind of like doing. I much prefer to use them in the context of, when I'm demoing a guitar or showing something else, and I just use them as and when I need, rather than filming specific videos. But I've had a hell of a lot of pedals come and go off this board that have never seen the light on YouTube, but this is how it is right now. So I'll quickly go over the signal chain. We come in and we hit the tuner. Then we go into this Vox wah. It is just a V847, but it's this kind of white and cream one that I found, and I think it just looks really, really cool. We come out of the wah and back into the Keeley compressor, and then from there into the DCX, from there to the Revival drive, into the highest gain pedal of all, which is the Super App Mod. Then we finish off with the HX Stomp, and that's kind of a bit of an experiment at the moment. I'm kind of just using it, does a digital unit kind of fit in with all of this? And obviously the benefits are I can use the whole board as a standalone unit, utilising the HX Stomp. So, you know, yet to be seen whether it stays, but it is on right now. And then the Flint, that's in the effects loop of the amp, as is the Ditto looper just there as well. And absolutely everything is being powered. If I can, no, I'm not going to be able to show that. But that is the Fender engine room power supply, and it is powering absolutely everything, including the HX Stomp. So I've got one plug that powers all of this. So just to give a quick sort of overview of how I'm using the pedals then, like I said, starting off with the tuner at the front, I've got the amp set up on the crunch channel and just sort of, you know, just past the edge of breakup kind of. A nice kind of almost rhythmy gain sound to start off with, but I've explained how I use the compressor plus on the Tone Master video, and I'm still doing that here as well, but its effect is a lot more subtle. So this is without. If I turn it on. So you can see I'm not really using it to compress or to add a lot of volume, but like I tried to explain before, it just adds something to the feel and the way the amp kind of sounds, especially when you start adding other pedals, and that is my always on pedal. It just never ever comes off. You know, like I said, not using it to add compression, but that's kind of what I'm using the Keeley for, to give me this kind of, it's just a slightly nicer bass sound to what I had before, and other pedals tend to react better for some reason when it's on. Then we got a wah. I don't tend to use the wah a lot if I'm using humbucker guitars, but obviously with the Strat, when I'm doing the Frusciante stuff or Hendrix stuff, that wah is just really, really good. Underneath, by the way, I know it looks different, but it is just a normal silver top V847. I found the white and cream one at the show last year, and they said they weren't going to sell it to me, and then I tricked them into selling it to me pretty much. So I just think that wah looks really, really cool. Chain wise, I should say it goes tuner, wah, then compressor. So we're coming out of the wah into the Keeley and then back down into the Origin DCX boost. So if I was to have one pedal on this board, because I could get around using the compressor, to be fair, it's just I like to have it on for everything else, but the DCX boost is probably my favourite pedal. So this is our normal sound, as we say. So put the DCX boost on. So it's a super subtle boost. I compare it a lot in this mode to the Lightspeed. It's very, very similar to the Greer Lightspeed, which is the only pedal I regret selling out of all the pedals I've had. But it feels super similar to that, except for you've got more EQ tweakability. So you've got more control over the low end, more control over the high end. And as a little bonus, you do have an overdrive mode in it as well. So this is in its Lightspeed EQ mode, as I would say. If I flick that over to its overdrive pedal mode, you'll feel the gain go up quite a bit. So actually it's an amazing overdrive pedal as well, and I do find myself kind of flicking between them. And then you've got 3 different modes that control kind of how your EQ sounds as you play with these as well. So out of that, I go into my Revival Drive Compact. Now, obviously I don't tend to do pedal videos, you know, even this isn't a pedal video, this is just quickly showing you kind of what I'm using. But I have had so many pedals behind, you know, off camera kind of thing, 4P effect stuff, honestly loads and loads of things. And the Revival Drive, I think it just stood the test against all of those. So I genuinely stack it with the DCX. So if I show you what it sounds like, you know, just on its own. I've got it set as a kind of slightly brighter overdrive, but obviously you can dial that in kind of however you want. That's my air freshener going off again, sorry about that. But when you stack it with the DCX, it kind of thickens it up a bit. So between the two of those, it's very, very subtle gain staging, and I'm not at any point super loud using the Katana either. So these two work for me really well, but it did leave me kind of, you know, when I want to go a bit thicker and a bit heavier, where do I go after that? And that's where we go into the Keeley Super Atmod. This pedal kind of come across as a bit, you know, unexpected. I saw it launched a few months ago, and then it kind of, it seems the newer Keeley pedal, the Noble Screamer or whatever it is kind of making more of a splash. But the Super Atmod, especially when you compare it with the DCX, this thing really gives you a fat overdrive sound. So if you know what I mean, it takes that gain and fattens up the bottom end really nice. If I compare the sort of Foo Fighters style. So it's just really good for that thicker kind of low end sound, and I've been really enjoying it, to be fair. I don't tend to go high gain that often, but the type of higher gain I like, that Keeley Super Atmod is absolutely doing that for me. And then the last thing is, like I said, the Helix being a bit of an experimentation, wild card sort of thing, if you like. And I'm just using it really as a fancy DL4. But I like the idea that if I'm going out anywhere, I can take the board and one guitar, and then I can come out of here via headphones, turn on some amp simulation, and have like a mobile practice rig with no amps. Literally just this board and a guitar. And I have tried this before. When I first put this board together, you know, its first version, I don't know, nearly 2 years ago, I had a head rush, and I found that mixing a digital pedal like that with analog pedals, it just didn't really work. But I'm finding with this, and again, it is very much experimentation, whether it stays or goes, but it doesn't seem to mess about with my normal pedals. If I turn it off, so this is with the signal going through the Helix. If I turn it off, and it has got bypass when it's off. So now that thing is completely off, and the signal's going straight through. It hasn't really, it's not doing anything negative to the signal by having it in the chain. So the only weird thing is now when I turn it on, I have to wait for my pedal board to load, which is a phrase I never thought I'd say associated with a pedal board. And this is how long it takes to load. So, and you're in. There you go. And it's brought the chorus on. So far I haven't really been able to kind of think that's getting in the way of my signal like I did with the Headrush MX5. That didn't mix with normal pedals for whatever reason. Like I said, at the minute I've just got it with a couple of delays in it, so I've got like a slap back over here. And then one other I've got as another delay, but kind of set as more of a digital kind of longer tail delay. And I haven't really messed around with the presets yet. I will build like, you know, a section of different delays, because that's kind of the main use for it. when I'm using the amp, because I've got my gains, I've got my, you know, modulation and reverb elsewhere. I just want that for delays. I do have this little switch as well that controls, I'm calling it kind of 2 wildcard effects. So when I'm doing like a video, what I play on videos really isn't a lot like how I play when I'm just practicing, sort of thing, because on a video I might be trying to do a song or something. So I kind of got these dialed in for song specific effects. So here I've got a chorus. And here I've got some kind of like octave thing. Which is a little bit of fun to play with, but obviously I could put like univibes in there, ring mods, whatever like oddball effect I want that I'd never buy, I can just assign to one of these as like a little odd kind of thing. So that's it. All of that goes into the front of the amp, and then I've got 2 in the effects loop. So I've got the Strymon Flint, which is just it's just adding some reverb. If I go down to 80s and sort of dial it up. You see, I've just got a whole load of reverbs, but I tend to leave it on spring reverb, dial back a little bit, just for, you know, subtle bit of reverb. And then you've got the tremolo as well, 3 different modes on that. At the moment, I've got it in its harmonic trem mode, and I'm kind of just playing with that bit. Whoops. But you have got more of the kind of Johnny Marr style as well. Let's speed that up. So a couple of different tremolos to mess around with there, and the tremolo side of this does sound a lot better than the tremolos that are in the Helix, because obviously you could just use that. Same goes for the reverb. Actually, the reverb on the Flint is better than the Helix, and I would even say the reverbs built into the Katana are probably better than the Helix ones as well. So that is just a real quick kind of, you know, I'm not trying to demo these pedals, it's more just showing you kind of what I'm using them for. Other thing was the looper as well, which I tend to use a lot in intros and mainly for just practicing. So that is it. Let's go back to the guitars. So guitar wise then, there's nothing really kind of that you won't know about, I don't think. There is one currently out that's a bit of a, kind of not sure what's happening with that one, but I've only actually got 4 electric guitars. That's it, that's all I've got. But we'll start with my favourite one you've all seen, you'll see it a million more times, my Eastman T59V. Nothing has been done to this, just kind of kept looking after it. You know, it's my favourite sounding guitar, even more than the Gold Top recently. This thing is just, it just turns out I'm a 335 person, I think. And I know that changes and there's always, you know, different things, but yeah, this is my favourite guitar. It's as simple as that, really. So the next one, sticking with Eastman again. Obviously you saw recently I got the Gold Top with the P90s. Currently top wrapped as well. That's a little bit of a experiment I was doing, because this guitar and these P90s, it just seemed like it really wanted to have 10s on it, and I like really slinky strings, and 10s for me, even on this scale length, feel a bit they just feel a bit tight. So I wanted to try top wrapping because it definitely sounded better with 10s on it. And that, to be fair, it has given the feel of 9s but the sound of 10s. So the top wrapping thing to make it kind of feel looser definitely does work. But I had an issue with the strings kind of unwrapping themselves because I didn't realise you're supposed to put another ball end on the end to kind of stop that happening. So these are a bit broken at the moment, so I'll have to redo it. But you know, totally different to my other two Eastmans. And whilst it isn't my favourite sounding one, if I'm being honest, I still love it because it is different. It's its own thing. And as far as gold tops go, I'll definitely never want another gold top again, no matter what. So this is my gold top. And then it's like this is like an Eastman thing all of a sudden, but I like Eastman, so what can you say? My SB59, so I still have that. Those of you that watch the pickup mod on this video, that is still in Peter Green mod mode with the magnet flipped. And this thing, I've got to admit, I have been tempted to change the pickups sometimes because compared to the other two, these sound way more modern, and I kind of want them to sound old, like like the Antiquities and the Lollas doing that. These just sound way more modern, but I'm slowly coming around to the idea that that's okay, you know, that's this guitar's job. If I want to do something using that Super Atmod pedal, for example, that modern, thicker gain tone, this guitar is just the perfect guitar for it. So it's probably best to just leave it alone because, you know, it's a wonderful guitar. And I don't know how much I'll be able to show you of wear, but I have started to really wear up this finish. So if this isn't coming across now, I'll put a separate bit of footage over the top. But I've got loads of like scratches and dents. The nickel I'm wearing up really kind of, it's tarnishing and staining. I've got a few splits in the knobs. On the back especially, I've got loads of buckle rash and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely starting to show its use, sort of thing. So that's it for the Eastmans for the time being. And then the only other electric I've got is I've still got my Frusciante parts caster. So we did a video on this when I first put it together, but essentially I got IR guitar, a guy called Ian that refinishes guitars and does the aging. So we got like a Nitro Fiesta Red, a la John Frusciante for my kind of Strat thing. The neck is a 2010 classic player, the one with the medium jumbos and 12-inch radius. You've got 5762 pickups in it, you know, really good switch, the Grigsby 5-way, really nice pots, jack. You know, it's just a decent parts caster. It's not the most special Strat in the world. It definitely has its own little, I don't know, little kind of twerks that you kind of have to get used to. I've got 4 springs in the back there as well. But I don't really find myself a Strat guy anymore. You know, like I said, I'm a 335 Les Paul kind of person nowadays. So I don't really feel the need to kind of change this guitar. It's like, this is my Strat. I put it together when I was big into Strats. And, you know, it does the job, sort of thing. So I don't really have a desire to change this. But I kind of do really like white Strats as well. So, so we'll see. And I haven't got a Telecaster yet, and that itches away at me as well. So it probably won't be the last Fender I ever have, but it is my current Strat. And the only other thing I've got still is my Alvarez, what's the model number? Because I'm not good with acoustics. MPA 66. So it's basically the Alvarez parlor guitar. This guitar was actually a gift from a friend of mine, so obviously I wouldn't ever get rid of it. Only thing I've done to this, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see, but that bone saddle there used to be sort of right up here somewhere, and I've brought it right down to as low as I can get it without kind of wrecking the brake angle. But it just makes for, you know, quite a nicely kind of set up, easy, comfortable guitar to play. And it sounds good, to be fair. It's got light 10 to, what are they? They're extra light. So they're the D'Addario extra light, whatever they are. I think it's 10 to 46, to be fair. Or is it 10 to 52? Either way, very light strings. Because again, I like slinky kind of strings. The only thing I don't kind of get on with this guitar is the absolutely miniature frets. They are super small, but a lot of acoustics are like that. And the neck is very narrow as well, but actually that's quite comfortable for the sort of chord you're playing. And then if you watch the video I did on this, I said about changing the machine heads, because for such a nicely made guitar, and it is nicely made, you know, it's all solid woods, bone nut, saddle bone nut. The fit and finish is really good. Like, it's a good guitar, this, and yet these tuners, although they do old tune, they just feel absolutely horrendous to use. They feel real nasty, and I will get round to changing those at some point. I just haven't done it yet. So that's all the guitars at the moment. So I think we'll finish off by showing you how these videos are made software-wise and what I've got that side of things. So desk-wise and how I actually make these videos in the first place is everything that you've ever heard on the videos comes in to this here. This is the Audient ID44. It's basically just a sound card, so that will bring in, if I'm using software on the computer, I can plug the guitar straight in just over here. But usually it's just microphones or line out that comes in the back, and then that feeds into the computer, which is the little Mac just there, into the software, which is this bit here. So that's Studio One, and that bit of footage you can see up there is from earlier on in the video, and then I export that and sort of line it up to the camera. So everything is done that you see on the, you know, on YouTube and that, from this computer and this setup. And then I also have this piano here, which I don't play anything like as much as I should. I've had it for years and years, and to be fair, I've definitely forgotten more than I now know on piano, because the thing with a digital piano like this is that because it's not real, it's hard to be connected to it. And even if you're using a guitar with amp plugins via this, you've still got a real guitar in your hands. So I find that way easier to kind of connect to. But I would like to get back into playing the piano more. And since this came out, this is years old, like I said, there are kind of better controllers now that maybe I'll give a go and get back into some piano playing. So I think we'll finish off with a bit of piano playing, because I probably haven't done it for a long time. So we'll finish off with that, and then I'll speak to you in a second. So that's it, you're up to date with everything that I'm using right now. But you know how it is with gas and stuff, especially this time of year, where like it's almost like that pre-NAMM 3-month build-up where new things come along all the time. And the gas is always strong, as we all know. So, you know, that's just where we're at right now, but it could well change very quickly. If you do want to see a bit more pedal-wise, you know, mismatch of pedals, guitars with the amp, let me know down below. And if someone has something that I haven't kind of covered, chances are I will probably cover it. So, you know, just let me know down below. But that's it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed kind of getting up to speed with everything. And I will see you for another one very soon.